What's going on, NFTV family? It's your host, 44K. The K stand for King K. Welcome back to my channel, man. I really appreciate y'all tapping in with me. I'm so blessed to have you guys looking at my videos, subscribing to my channel, getting down in those comments and leaving those comments, man. I'm blessed. I can't even lie. I'm blessed. I feel great that we're growing this channel organically. No bots, no help from overseas, none of that. This is straight organic. One video at a time, one subject at a time, content after content after content until I grow this channel to where it needs to be. But first and foremost, man, let's like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, share this video, and most importantly, get down in those comments. Get down in those comments, leave those comments. I want to talk to you all. I want you all to constantly give me ideas. I want you constantly to push back on me so that I can become sharper steel. So if I got you guys bringing in facts, other counterpoints, everything like that to the things that I'm talking about, the next time I come around to this, I might switch sides or it might secure my my position as a whole. But without further ado, let's get down to this topic at hand. As you can see on the screen, right? We have the famous Rachel Dolezal. So Rachel Dolezal was an ex-NAACP leader who identifies as black. So this happened, this is around 2015, right? So 2015, this is before the gender movement really took hold. The identity, what you identify as, the gender movement, all that 2015, it existed, but it wasn't to the point that it is now. My question is, if she had got exposed around 2020, 21, 22, 23, would the backlash have been as severe as it was back in 2015? Because if someone in their mind can identify as the opposite sex when sex is binary, you are either a male or a female, and now you have situations where people identify as non-binary, what is stopping people from identifying as black? If she's a white woman who identifies as black, in her mind she feels she's black, what is the difference between a transgender and a transracial person? What is really the difference? And would the backlash have been as harsh because people are scared to talk about this being a mental health issue, which I think it is in either case? If she's white and she identifies as black, then I think it's a mental health issue. What's causing that? If someone is a male, identifies as a female, or vice versa, what is the mental health issue that's causing this? But since that's out the window now and it's wide open to where you can identify as whatever you want to identify as, what makes her wrong for identifying as black? Why is this person frowned upon, but then you have other people that are celebrated for identifying as a female when they're actually a male? Maybe you guys can help me out with that, because I don't understand the concept at all. If this woman, and this woman wasn't no slouch, this woman was the ex-NAACP leader. She was a black woman doing real work in the black community, helping people out. You know what I'm saying? Putting people in proper positions and coming to aid of black people who have been marginalized and forsaken and things like that. So she should be celebrated. She was in a role and should be celebrated in that role. But the argument back then was she was cosplaying as a black woman in a position that should have been held by a black woman in that position. So it doesn't matter what she was doing, she was in a role that she didn't belong in. So why does she get that strife? Why is she torn down? Why is she excommunicated from the community, put on the crazy list and all this type of stuff? But then we have the dude Dylan, who is cosplaying as a woman and is getting endorsements, getting contracts, getting all the fame and fortune that could be going to a woman, actual biological woman that's doing the same thing? That's the question I have for y'all. Because it seems a little hypocritical. You know, it's the black thing is a touchy subject because of the overall history of the black race, and nobody wants to touch that because it's a white person cosplaying as a black person. So nobody wants to touch that race topic, and no one wants to be called a bigot or a racist. But you have the woman species who has historically been marginalized also. That's a group that as a whole has been marginalized and who has fought to have their seat at the table and rise to the level of prominence that they are within our culture. So why have we been over the last 5 years been so willing to let others enter into their space and take over that space without the hoopla and the argument that we had for this lady Rachel Dozell? So let's check out somebody's video. Give this guy his credit. This guy named Zuby. I think he's from London or something like that. He makes some points. Gotta give him props when props due. But let's see what he has to say, and then we'll touch back in.
Said trans-racialism makes more sense than transgenderism. Because race is actually a spectrum. Race is actually a social construct. Gender is binary. There's a male and female, that's it. There's nothing else, right? Race is actually a spectrum, right? If I were to have a child with an Asian woman, my child is going to be mixed. If she is mixed and we have a child, the child is going to be, race is it's actually a social construct. Yes, it's based on our DNA and ancestral history, but these terms we use, nobody's actually black, nobody's actually white, no one's actually these literal colors, right? If someone is mixed race, with the fact that we even call them black, right? If we call Drake black or we call Barack Obama black, right? They're just as white as they are black, but due to the social construct, we call them black in many cases. So it's actually socially constructed and it's genuinely a spectrum. You can meet someone and you're like, okay, what race are you? And it's like, well, I don't know, like my grandparents are from here, my mom's from here, my dad's from here. Said trans.
So, I mean, he makes some good points. He makes some great points, honestly. Race is actually a social construct. It's actually a social construct. So it's something that was invented during the slave race time, you know? When the ships were coming from Portugal and you had Europe and you had everybody was racing back and forth to deliver slaves. So that's when you got the black, the white, and all these things. And then next you know you have the census, and you know white is made up of all different types of groups. You have Irish, you have Italian, you have German, you have all these things, and Irish people were frowned upon and weren't even brought into the actual white race and until a certain point in history. So when you have something like that, and this point is being brought up about transracialism and someone feeling that they identify as black. You know, if you go down their DNA in America, if they're born in America, you probably can find some percentage of black in their DNA, you know, to where, you know, they should be able to identify as that. But with that being said, it still doesn't answer the question of what causes the hard no on transracialism, but then the open acceptance of transgenderism. When you have the issue of women being marginalized, being abused, their spaces being overtaken throughout history, this is known. You know that men have been predators and aggressive within nature throughout history. So why are we so willing to let those people identify as women and let them in their spaces to put them at danger, but we're not willing to let someone who is white that maybe have a negative connotation attached to white and black identify as black. We're not willing to let them into that space and thrive within that space that they feel as that identity that they feel more comfortable in. You know, so if you bring up this to, you know, in contrast to each other and you present this in a debate, I would honestly like to hear a intellectual argument against, one, and then in favor of the other, to see how that matches up and why you feel like one is more acceptable than the other. So that's just a question, I got for y'all, a topic I put out there. Hopefully I get a lot of comments on this so I can get a better understanding on why one is frowned upon and one is celebrated. One marginalized group is off limits from having to deal with people with identity issues, body dysmorphia, whatever, and the other marginalized group is just let out to fend for themselves. And if you deny, if you try to say they deserve their own spaces and they deserve their identity to be held amongst themselves and celebrated, then you're called a bigot or a transphobe or something like that. But the other, but it's not the same when you look at it from transracialism to transgenderism. So I appreciate you all tapping in with me. This was a quick little video. I thank y'all for coming in to NFTV. I'm your host, 44K. The K stand for King K. Like, subscribe, comment, share this video, and last but not least, turn on that notification button. God bless. Good night.